Understanding the importance of learning environments is a critical element of pedagogical planning. The third teacher, designed well, will engage children in self-driven, autonomous play. However, environments are not just about where furniture is placed. It's the meticulous thought that underpins decisions that creates environments of wonder and challenge. Welcome to the session. This training explores the connections between intentional design, educators' research, and the fusing together to build rich documentation. In the paper presented at the Future of Education conference in 2017 in Italy, Carrie Rose shared the research of her educational team in the citizens in their environment. This paper talked about the critical role the environment and relationships played in fostering children's developing awareness of their rights as a contributing citizen. Whilst the educational documentation built a strong image of the child, it must be remembered that children are first and foremost a citizen in their environment in their own right. The building blocks of environment design have 4 layers. These underpin the decisions that educators make. The first layer is the understanding that the child is a citizen with their own rights. The second layer leads to the child's voice being heard. The third layer enables a child to be who they are with no prejudice. And this will then layer the fourth with building the foundation of being, belonging, and becoming. The Rose Way builds on this educational design through the layers: reflect, observe, slow down, and evolve. Okay, let's start with some inspo ideas to view and consider. picture of the high chairs invites an encounter of engagement during meals. Rather than high chairs all lined up, this educator has understood the intimacy that the ritual of meals has and considered the purpose and meaningfulness of the positioning of furniture and designed this to make and create connections. The second picture understands, respects, and values the encounter with technique, designing with simple tools to engage the child in experimentation rather than product, creates the encounter with tools. Often spaces are set with the predetermined outcome. This space engages autonomous investigation for the learning. These two pictures of this toddler space respects the children's favoured inclination to not sit at tables to do activities, rather move, adjust, lie down, and sit on the floor to engage with the materials. Shades of light, curtains for privacy, all add to an ambience of softness, calm, and inescapability. Young children are able to navigate themselves between the encounters they are having with the environment and the pull of energy thriving within their growth. Giving vision to work enables pedagogical planning to drive the learning. As a collaborative planning framework, outlining a research focal point becomes a player in the design of environments. Documentation and critical reflections guide further development of this research, linking and evolving the understandings that the educators have. This comes through the lens and the collaboration of both children's play and the educator's lens. The depth of thought in the environment's evolving design was paramount in a 2-year study conducted by the team at Rosie's Early Learning as they researched children's self-perception through play. 4 specific topics layered the work and was used to construct the learning encounters of self-perception, co-construction, and rights to identity. These were exploring how children perceive their rights, landscapes of their individual intelligence, understanding how children decide and make connections with each other, and fusing the learning for intention, reflection, and invitation. Laila Gandini from the Schools of Reggio Emilia discusses in the book The 100 Languages of Children. Because social development is seen as an intrinsic part of cognitive development, space is planned and set up to facilitate encounters, interactions, and exchanges among children. This is not interpreted as stage or predefined outcomes, rather an openness to the encounter and consequently an openness to this learning. Attention to detail plays a significant role in not just the success of a space, but also the learning engagement. Do you want to be in a space that's not cared for or interesting? What invites children to optimum learning and engagement in your space? It was about recognising children already have a self-perception driven from the experiences and exposure. And this became more about exploring children's who I am perceptions and breaking down those social justice barriers and stereotypes. Pockets of play was one of the intentional strategies used in design for their play to evolve. Small, intimate areas designed would prompt children to explore their values and rights through this play. The exploration of self-perception required educators to consider the learnings of social justice, cultural understanding, diversity, and ethical play were more than likely going to arise. And with this, they understood that an environment that would not only support this play, but challenge the children's biases was going to be crucial. Using this singular pockets of play enabled children in parallel opportunities to self-direct and explore with the intent for educators and peers to grow into small groups together. The example of meticulous thought layers the child as a citizen first and foremost within the community of learners. So rather than continuously moving, changing, and shifting the environment, strategic decisions of revisiting and relaunching children's ideas, thinking, and play provided educators the research alongside the child, delving deeper into the identity, posing questions about family members and how they perceived this lifestyle. Are these their perceptions of their rights? By understanding the children's priorities through this dialogue, the educators begin to understand the child's identity with rights. By having this familiarity in the environment, the child builds on learning rather than starts again each time. Visible learning is not about having 10 of the same art activities on the wall. It's about the many forms of children's understandings respected and valued. The 100 languages of Malaguzzi's theory continues to challenge the concept that there is only one way of knowing or one way of expressing this knowledge. When meticulous design and environments is put together, it ensures that there are opportunities for more than just one language and therefore more than just one outcome. This 2-year-old Abigail explores the perception of family first through small props. This is a familiar component of the environment for Abby, as she has mastered her play with these tools before. Starting here gives her confidence to leap into the new ways of languages as they are presented. Then introduced to the projector for storytelling with shadows, she's adding and evolving her initial ideas further. It is here, through this environment design, that educators learn more about Abby's perception of family. She has then represented her arrangement of family to explore a new language of trace and add, both building further her story, ideas, and perception, whilst also developing technique and skill in her pen work. This layering of languages takes time and evolution to develop, and an environment that will hold up the foundations of these pedagogical beliefs. The engagement of revisiting and relaunching children's work back to them engages them in the strategy of critical thought. They review their own work, like proofreading, and are determining if this is their final piece. Claudia Gudici of the Schools of Reggio Emilia discusses that a child's initial concept is just this, and it is the environment and the pedagogical strategy that must engage the child in further consideration. Mia's work is an excellent example. As her group designed the elements of a water treatment plant, they continuously revisited their designs individually. You can see Mia's first design and then her final design have a significant difference in detail. Moving this group from individual work to small group construction was the next layer of relaunching. From the individual designs, a small group then made decisions of the group design for this water treatment plant. They handed this work over to a further group who tediously constructed the working model you can see in the photograph below. This is an excellent example of how a community of learners is working within the languages of their strengths. Constructing environments of wonder and challenge is not about activities with a predefined outcome, rather spaces and places for dialogue, engagement, and exploration. Here are 3 reflective questions to explore in the environment of your design. Where can children explore topics of interest or concepts through both 2-dimensional and 3-dimensional mediums? What could these languages look like? What languages do you already offer? And what else could there be? So in conclusion, when meticulous thought in constructing an environment of wonder and challenge occurs, we understand that children become a community of learners rather than just learners in a community. Looking for further training and information from the Roseway consultants, visit the website, therosewayplanning.com. Thank you for attending, and I hope you enjoyed the session.